I call the order of the meeting of the Verona Plan Commission for Monday, January 5th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. We'll begin with the roll.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Wood, absent, Commissioner Powers, absent, Mayor Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Alder Swanson,
Here.
and Commissioner Hankard.
Here.
That's enough people for a quorum, so we can proceed. We'll move on to item 3, which is public comment. If any members of the public are here to speak, now would be the time to do so. Seeing no one approaching the table, we will move on to item 4, which is approval of minutes from the December 1st, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions to approve? Alder Swanson.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Hankard. Last chance for corrections. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the December 1st, 2025 Plan Commission meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 5, which is regarding a preliminary and final plat development to construct 116 multifamily units and 6,904 square feet of retail located at 511 West Verona Avenue. Mr. Sievertson, before we open the public hearing on this, can you give us a brief overview?
Yeah. Public hearing is being held for a preliminary and final plan of a planned development at 511 West Verona Avenue. Legal notice was published in the Verona Press. Personal notice was sent to properties within 250 feet, and a sign was posted at the property.
Excellent. With that, I will move that we open the public hearing on this topic. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. All those in favor of opening the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, we are in the public hearing at 6:32 p.m. Does anyone want to speak specifically on the proposed development at 511 West Verona Avenue? Seeing no one approaching the table, I will move that we close the public hearing on this topic. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the public hearing is closed at 6:32 p.m. Mr. Sievertson.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a request for a preliminary and final plan of a planned development to allow for the construction of a 116-unit apartment building and a 6,900 square feet of commercial located at 511 West Verona Avenue. The subject property is located east of the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store, west of the existing Sugar Creek Commons development, and north of existing light industrial uses. The proposed development would integrate into the existing development and would share an access drive. Pedestrian paths are provided connecting the proposed building to other existing buildings within the development. While parking for this development satisfies its own required parking, the surface parking lots are designed to be seamless with the other properties within Sugar Creek Commons. The underlying zoning district is suburban commercial and... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let me go. Oh,
There we go.
Great. Thank you. The underlying zoning district is suburban commercial and would not permit residential at grade. However, as part of a planned development application, a use exemption has been requested. In addition, the proposal is requesting a building height exemption, pavement setback exemption, and canopy signage exemption. The first floor provides 6,904 square feet of commercial fronting West Verona Avenue. While the underlying zoning encourages commercial uses, the lot depth and configuration of surrounding properties make it difficult to support commercial on the entire lot. Staff supports first floor residential for the proposed development, given commercial is maintained along the West Verona Avenue frontage. The building elevations show building scale and architectural character, which is consistent with the existing development. in order to maintain a building height consistent with the existing development, a height exemption is necessary. And that's just to maintain the height of the other buildings within Sugar Creek Commons. The east building elevation shows the view of the proposed building looking from the existing development looking west. The residential entrance is identified by a portion of the wall that projects forward, has a slightly taller parapet, and a change in brick color. See, it goes from like kind of a red to a yellow brick. And that's kind of getting at the just circulation of the site, orientation of the buildings. So everything is well circulated on the site. They have sidewalks connecting the various buildings. You can see in this elevation, this rendering, some of the walks included. There's also a walk down here to the south connecting Building D to Building A. The site plan shows the relationship of the proposed and existing development. Because the proposed and existing developments are to share a drive aisle, the pavement will not be set back from the property line and will require an exemption. The application includes a shared access drive easement to allow for the shared drive aisle. Staff is supportive of the exemption as long as the shared access easement is executed and recorded between the two properties. This line here is kind of indicating the shared property line and how the access drive is roughly right here. So that's the reasoning or the need for the exemption. As was mentioned previously, the proposed and existing buildings will share amenities. The plan shows the amenity areas which will be shared among the residents. So there's shared outdoor seating, commercial patios, fitness area, pool, and clubhouse. The applicant has demonstrated an ability to implement the proposal and included the displayed timeline. Financing for the project has been secured pending zoning approvals, and the construction will not be contingent on tax increment financing. The city did receive comments from 2 members of the public, which were included in the packets and are summarized here. There was a statement, really 2 statements from St. Vincent de Paul stating that it's prohibited for guests of the development to park in their parking lot, and that anyone who's not a customer of St. Vincent de Paul will be towed if they're located in the parking lot. There was also concerns for speeding vehicles going from West Front Avenue south to access the underground parking. There was a suggestion to add charging stations and plugs for e-bikes and e-scooters in the parking garage. A request for some variation in the landscaping and a pollinator garden. Overall, staff is supportive of the proposal and recommends approval with the 6 conditions listed on page 15 of the report. The Plan Commission should state if they agree with or would like to add to any of the standards of review listed on page 12 of the report. So this is a little bit different than a site plan approval, which is not necessarily a recommendation. Because this is a preliminary plan and final plan for a planned development, this is something that has standards of review that need to be met. And so ideally, there would be some sort of statement whether or not the commission agrees with those standards. And that'll be sent to the Common Council next week. That's it.
Excellent. I guess then I would open it up to a discussion from the Plan Commission. Comments, questions, or motions on this item? Alder Swanson.
I noted in the background that this has been a project that's been going on for a while. I'm glad to see something happening with that parking lot. I think, at a glance, it looks like the proposal fits with the character of the adjacent development, which is sort of, I guess, not necessarily adjacent, but actually part of the same development, if I understand correctly. I think the public comment is salient. St. Vinny's totally within their rights to tow residents, so as long as signage is well marked and clear, I think that's fine. Pollinators would be great. The landscaping is something that's important as we're developing. Taking the opportunity to incorporate green space is important to me. I think it's important to my community, that is my side of town. I think I am generally on board with the statements as described. I don't have, nothing jumps out to me to be cautious about this.
Other questions or comments? Commissioner Ankerd, and then
Yeah,
myself.
I mean, I agree. It's the logical conclusion after a small detour. I think it looks great. I like the pedestrian connections. Obviously, the more people can walk through here, the better. So very supportive of that. And yeah, good deal.
Calling on myself. I like the commercial fronting Verona Avenue. I know sometimes developers get annoyed that we ask for it so often. I just think it makes more complete, more resilient spaces. It's weird to think about residential slowing down because it seems pretty much unstoppable right now, but it might. And then you'll have a backup tenant. And two, it for the people who live there, it's an amenity. I also really like the timeline as part of the application because one of the most common questions I get is like, what's happening over there? And it's nice to be able to see a timeline and be like, all right, well, this is what the developer gave us. This is what's going to happen. And I'm very, very glad to see the drive-through go away because I don't think that was a good fit. I'm supportive of it. Other thoughts? Commissioner Taylor.
I'm a pretty big fan of it too. I wasn't on the commission last time this came up, but I was supportive of it back then. So nothing's really changed in a negative way for me. I know parking was a big concern last time, and St. Vinny's had those comments, but it looks like they're switching from the event center to the restaurant and retail. It seems like there's going to be a lot less traffic, people coming through, and yet they added more parking stalls than in the last one. So I don't think there's going to be anything to be concerned about there. I support it.
Other comments? Commissioner Hernandez.
I also agree. I think it fits the character of the neighborhood. I'm also in that district, so I'm in support.
I guess I have one quick question before I make a motion. Can you talk a little bit about our landscaping standards?
Yeah, so the applicable standards for this development, they have a small portion of their parking lot that is visible or adjacent to West Verona Avenue, so that will need to be screened from West Verona Avenue, which it is. And then within the parking lot itself, they provide parking lot landscaping in all the islands. I know that was something that we worked with them on because they have some underground stormwater detention in that area. It was kind of difficult to plant canopy trees in all of those locations, but they did a good job incorporating landscaping into the parking lot. And then just the standard requirement that 75% of the plant material is native. And that's accomplished as well.
Thank you. I just want to say one of the best things we can do for native or for pollinators is to plant native plants. But anyways, with that, I will move that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council to approve the preliminary and final plat of the plan development for 511 West Verona Avenue with the 6 exemptions listed in the packet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. Motion before the body? Oh, sure.
I guess. Does that motion include the stipulation that the staff had regarding the agreement for the easement?
That was, yeah, I think that was part of the 6.
Okay.
Let me just
I just want
verify.
to make sure that doesn't get left out because that's important.
You meant the cross-access agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's condition 5.
Okay. Sounds good. I missed that.
Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending to the Common Council to approve the preliminary and final plan of a planned development for 511 West Vernon Avenue with the 6 conditions specified in the packet, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 6, which is the discussion and possible action regarding site plan review to construct approximately 1,176 square feet, or a square foot building located at 500 South 9 Martin Road. Mr. Severson.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a request for a site plan approval to construct a 1,176 square foot building at 500 South 9 Mound. The property is located on the northwest corner of Legion Street and South 9 Mound Road, and is adjacent to residential uses to the north and light industrial uses to the west. The proposed building is located north of the existing building and meets all setback and lot coverage requirements. The applicant has stated that they intend to use the building for storage only, and the building would not be occupied. Regardless, they do meet the parking requirements for both the existing and proposed buildings. The proposed building is a pre-engineered metal-clad building with a gabled roof, 2 garage doors, and a man door. At the city's encouragement, the applicant has proposed large shrubs along the east side of the building facing Legion Street. Staff is supportive of the proposal and recommends granting approval.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Hankard.
I will move that the Plan Commission approves the site plan to allow for the construction of a 1,176 square foot building at 500 South 9 Mound Road.
Motion by Commissioner Hankard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the site plan to allow for the construction of 1,176 square foot building at 500 South 9 Mound Road, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We'll move on to item 7, which is a discussion and possible action regarding site plan review to construct approximately 19,957 square feet of general retail located west of County Highway PB and north of County Highway M. Mr. Severson.
Thank you. And I think in the future, we could probably just round the numbers.
Okay.
We'll do that for our description in the future. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct an approximately 20,000 square foot grocery store located north of County Highway M and west of County Highway PB. The subject property is known as Lot 12 in Liberty Business Park and is surrounded on all sides by a public right-of-way. Partially improved drive separates the property from an electrical substation to the west. So for those of you that are familiar with projects that have been reviewed in the Liberty Business Park, while this is like bisected by PB, it is technically part of Liberty Business Park. The application includes the construction of the grocery store, paving for the parking lot and walks, stormwater management basins, site lighting, and landscaping. Off-site improvements include construction of a public road and cul-de-sac, turning lanes on County Highway M, and a public sidewalk along County Highway PB. Because a portion of the cul-de-sac bulb extends into the private property, a separate CSM will be required to show the land dedication to the city for the public right-of-way. This will be done under a separate application. In order to prepare the site for grading, 9 trees with a diameter of 12 inches or greater were removed which require 18 replacement trees. The landscape plan includes a mix of canopy and evergreen trees throughout the site to satisfy the replacement tree requirements. Native grasses and water-tolerant trees have been added to the stormwater basin. Landscaping is provided in each of the parking lot islands, and perimeter landscaping is shown to screen the parking lot from the roadway. In addition to the required landscaping, the plan shows additional canopy trees along County Highway PB and ornamental trees underneath the overhead utility lines. Those, if you drive out there on Highway M, you'll notice there's some pretty significant overhead lines. So it's good that they're providing landscaping in this area, but given those overhead lines, they weren't able to do canopy trees. The proposed building follows Aldi's most recent building design concept, which includes aluminum paneling, faux wood cladding, and brick for the base and accents. The staff worked with Aldi and their architect to modify the design to incorporate the city's design standards to help break up the building and provide additional glazing to the storefront. Staff is supportive of the application and recommend approval of the site plan with 3 conditions listed on page 8 of the staff report.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Commissioner Haggard.
I guess the only two things that come to my mind on this site are access, traffic, but I read there was a study done and they've essentially agreed to whatever the county is asking for.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so everyone's getting along there. And then, I mean, is there any pedestrian bike in this area at all? You said they were putting in a sidewalk on PB? And does that keep, I'm not familiar, does that keep going? Or is it a?
It does not. The city does have a sidewalk policy that was adopted, I think, it was either late 2024 or 2025, which requires, any construction or development of either new buildings or significant additions to include sidewalk on those portions. Now, it was not required on M because there is no connecting sidewalk or a connecting sidewalk planned in the future. Because if you go out there and look along the north side of M, it's this development, it's the substation, and then just a big ditch.
Just kind of pinches into
Yeah.
to the highway, I think.
And so the long-term thought is there would be most likely a multi-use path on the south side of M. And so that would be taken care of once the road is reconstructed by the county. We don't know
Right,
when that would
the
be.
next time they do something big. Okay, no, that sounds logical to me.
But we did feel it was important to have it along PB because we do see people walking that path.
Sure.
And while there's not a sidewalk connection north of this property to some of those residential areas, there will be eventually in the future, and so we wanted to provide that.
All right, thank you. I mean, as always, you guys have done a great job working behind the scenes before you present it.
Thank you.
I had one more question about the sidewalk. So it says on page 5 that while sidewalks are required around County Highway M, staff and the applicant have decided to wait until County Highway M becomes an urbanized roadway, and the applicant at that time will install the required sidewalk. What does the trigger for that look like?
Yeah, so it's really going to be driven by the county.
Okay.
So once that road becomes urbanized, when that happens, we don't know. And Carla's here, and she could maybe add some background and context to that as well. But the applicant has agreed that when that time comes, and when that section is urbanized, that they'll contribute to putting in a sidewalk along M. But it's going to be a while, most likely.
Yeah, I can just add that as part of that right turn lane that's being added, that section will be urbanized. That was coordinated with the county, but it's just on that north side, so it's not the full road. It's kind of similar to what you're seeing along Wayland, which is not the ultimate configuration. It's getting it to a point where it works today and is safe for people, but it's without doing a full, look at the road profiles and, you would typically put in multi-use paths and sidewalks and things like that in an urban section. We don't have control of enough of that road to really make that work right now. So we're trying to make it work in the interim, like Wayland again.
Okay, and then I guess as a follow-up then, so if the county were to reconstruct it, it would be ultimately on the county to say there should be a sidewalk here? And in theory, if the county turned over operation to County Highway M, then we would be the one reconstructing the road. We would say, well, as we reconstruct this, there needs to be a sidewalk. Do I have that correct?
I will let Carla answer that question.
I would say, so it gets a little hazy with jurisdiction in this area. I mean, there would have to be a lot of coordination between the county and the city, I would say. I can't say for sure, but typically I think I don't know how the costs work, but there would be a lot of coordination between the two entities. Obviously, it's becoming the heart of the city of Verona.
Got it. Yeah, I guess for a little additional context, at least under the previous county executive, Joe Parisi, the county seemed to want to give up as many county highways as they can because of maintenance costs, and they would have loved to have turned it over to the city of Verona. I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't necessarily know if with the change with the county executive, if perhaps the county's philosophy has changed, but I do feel like if at some point there's enough of the city of Verona around it, they would let us take it over because it means it gets an expense off their books. Okay. Thank you. Other questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Swanson.
I have a question relating to the intersection there of, I guess, proposed Aldi Way and M. So presumably, when they put it in, it's going to be just a stop sign. Do we have plans in the future to install a light control there instead to manage the additional traffic coming out of the north exit from the Quick Trip and the other thing that's there?
Yeah, I don't think that was it wasn't recommended as part of the TIA for at least for this development. And I don't know, Carla, if you have any additional insight on that.
Well, the only thing I would say is that it's very close to that existing signal, so it probably is a little bit too close to have something here. And typically we do go with the studies, right, which will project out how much traffic is coming from this development. And so if that is not recommending a signal, I would not anticipate one. Mm-hmm. We know that it's a busy area. And honestly, I do think M needs to be looked at probably sooner than later through this area, just as we continue to grow. So just going to throw it out there.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments, or motions? I will, Alder Swanson.
I move to approve looking for the recommendation. Move to approve the site plan to allow for the construction of an approximately 20,000 square foot general retail building located on Lot 12 in the Liberty Business Park with the stipulated conditions.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the site plan to allow for the construction of approximately 20,000 square feet of general retail building located on Lot 12 in the Liberty Business Park with the 3 conditions specified in the packet, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 8, which is reports and comments from the planning department. Mr. Sievertson.
Thank you. So the only thing I want to provide an update on is the comprehensive plan. So the task force met in December to discuss the draft plan. Given that it was the first time for everyone to kind of take a look at the full draft, there were quite a bit of comments and a lot of discussion. And I think given kind of some of the direction, I think it's likely that our timeline will need to be extended a little bit for the comprehensive plan. Looking at, I think our initial plan was to have a public hearing with the Plan Commission in March. That's probably going to be April or May at this point, is my best guess. I know we've got a meeting later this meeting, staff does, with the consultant to kind of talk about the revised timeline and kind of next steps. I think we're looking to hopefully have another draft or at least responses to a lot of those questions or comments by the end of this month or early next month. That's where we stand right now.
Any questions for Mr. Severson? With that, we move on to item 9, which is adjournment. A motion to adjourn would be in order. Alder Swanson.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hankard. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And we are adjourned at 7:01 p.m. Thank you, everyone.